The 2018 Commonwealth Innovation Forum, brought to you by Destination Gold Coast.
Professor Louis Schofield is the director of the Australian Institute of Tropical Health and Medicine. Professor, welcome to TCIF and welcome to Brisbane.
Thank you so much.
Tell us a bit about the Australian Institute of Tropical Health and Medicine.
Well, it's the only institute of tropical health research in Australia that's dedicated to the health of tropical populations. It's relatively new, one of Australia's most recent institutes, founded about 3.5 years ago with the express aim of taking on issues around tropical health and locating it in the tropics. After all, Australia has 1/3 of its landmass in the tropics, which we share in common, for instance, with Singapore and a few other Commonwealth nations. And so it was felt that our national capacity would be strengthened by locating an institute in the tropics where we can deal with issues like dengue and other mosquito-borne diseases, as well as leptospirosis, other types of things that are found with high incidence there. In addition to our interest in domestic tropical health issues, of course, we have a very strong focus and interest in engaging in tropical health research for our regional neighbours, such as in the Southwest Pacific and in South and East Asia.
James Cook University is a major supporter of the Commonwealth Innovation Forum in Brisbane. How closely does the Institute work with the Commonwealth nations around the world?
We work very closely, actually. We have a large number of ties with a number of Commonwealth countries. We have, of course, they're mainly at the level of individual scientists exchange with academic institutions, but we have collaborations and funded research that really stretches across the region. Of that we're very, very proud and would like to see more.
How is innovation helping research in the field of tropical health and medicine?
Well, one of the important things to realise is that the tropical health and medicine has this sort of connotation coming back from the 19th century where it was sort of diseases of the poor only. But of course, there's been such a huge social, economic, political change with the rise of the economies, particularly in Asia and other parts of the world. So there's now substantial demand for tropical health solutions, and more importantly, an ability to pay. And I think this has had a big impact on driving innovation, driving demand and capacity to pay for new approaches, not only for new solutions such as vaccines, drugs, etc., and also much increased demand for health system solutions.
What have been some of the advances, some of the, promising results that the Institute has been working on, in partnership with others perhaps as well?
Well, probably going back historically, people may be aware of the very, very successful Wolbachia program, which is a bacterium that's been introduced into mosquito populations to make them refractory to dengue and other arbovirus transmission. Although I have to give credit to other institutions, Professor Scott O'Neill in particular from UQ and from Monash has led the charge in that area. Nonetheless, James Cook University played a very, very important role in that initial phase of discovery, because we were the critical area for the conduction of the first field trials and built up very considerable capacity in mosquito biology in that area, which we still have to this day. So we're proud of our contribution to that now very significant global effort. In addition, we've got very promising programs in vaccine development, particularly for malaria, and so we're developing a whole new class of therapeutic compounds derived from tropical biota, in particular therapeutic compounds, believe it or not, derived from worms, because worms live in the intestine. They're master regulators of the intestinal environment, and the products that worms secrete can be used as a new class of drugs to treat things such as celiac disease or other types of systemic inflammatory diseases.
Do you think the public are becoming more aware and supportive of the preventative aspects of tropical health?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's always been, I think, a recognition of that. I mean, in fact, we actually have, although we can't claim the military's involvement in tropical health research, there was a very substantial program in Cairns up in far North Queensland as part of our footprint during the war, where some of the most pioneering work on malaria transmission and life cycle was undertaken. The war was a case in point. This is to talk about the Second World War. In this case, I mean, obviously it was a huge huge issue, tropical health and medicine, and brought to the forefront the need for Australia to take a sort of long-term view over this. And I think that's the case. I think that preventing, people are aware of travel medicine, preventing diseases and taking what's available, but of course there are plenty of conditions for which there are no solutions. So continued research and investment into this area, beneficial not only for Australians in terms of personal protection, but also nationally for health security, and of course hugely important for our friends and colleagues and neighbours in our neighbouring countries throughout the Commonwealth.
How important is a forum such as the Commonwealth Innovation Forum bringing the Commonwealth nations together?
The Commonwealth nations have a lot to offer each other. I mean, huge. I'm going to say what everybody knows about the Commonwealth, which is that it's a sort of a network of people with a common sort of heritage in certain areas. Obviously, differences in others, but nonetheless, the capacity to communicate. I think that's absolutely critical. And forums such as this are wonderful in bringing together all these different perspectives from all around the world. A truly global network, enough commonality to really help drive it. A reason to do so. And that's particularly the case for us in tropical health and medicine. We are really absolutely committed to working with our Commonwealth colleagues in finding solutions and then reaching out to the rest of the world as well, of course.
All right, and moving forward, what can we look forward to, I guess, as a nation, as a world in the field of tropical health and medicine?
Well, I alluded to earlier in the sense that there's the growth and the need, I think, for greater cooperativity around these issues. First of all, there's a recognition that when it comes to health, we live in one world. Okay, so health security is organisms, viral outbreaks have no respecters of national boundaries. So we need a huge level of cooperativity around health security. And I'm glad to acknowledge that the Australia's federal government is a strong supporter of this idea, has recently committed significant amount of resources towards building health security, and of course that's a multilateral agenda, not only Australian. So I think health security is important. I think we'll see more cooperative in that area. I think more innovation around vaccines and new drugs for as yet untreated tropical diseases, and I also think a huge emphasis on workforce development and training new generation of health workers. Health innovations don't happen in a vacuum. They happen in the context of very well-defined or properly working health systems. And of course, there's always the need to innovate around those sorts of processes. And they're very complex. They need a lot of training and a lot of constant innovation. And we're also very committed to that agenda. And I think Australia has a big role to play together with its Commonwealth nations, in Commonwealth partners, I should say, in getting that together.
Well, again, thank you for being part of the inaugural Commonwealth Innovation Forum. Thank you for being a proud partner and supporter, and we look forward to hearing more about the great work that's emerging from the Australian Institute of Tropical Health and Medicine.
Thank you so much.